almost time to say farewell to this chart. Why? Well, the last time we used this was when we broke 48K, and I explained to you guys that the supply zone there has been deleted, and it's time that we buy the dip between 40 and 35K. So we went down to about 38K at that point, and that's it. And the rest is history. Now, why are we saying goodbye to this? Well, remember that this was the lateral range that engineered the whole bear cycle for us, everything down to the bottom, the resistance that needed to break in order for us to be really uber bullish, and then obviously the run that we're experiencing now. Now, in the light of this, I think a lot of people are very curious and cautious about the fact that Bitcoin is about to go into new all-time highs. And as per everybody's expectation, this should only happen after the halving, but we're still a few months off from the halving. So we're going to look at that as well. Do your HODL bags a favor and subscribe today. Double down, hit that like and notification icon, and let's get charting. But the monthly candle close is really significant because it can tell you where overlaps occur. Now, overlaps is the trick, because a lot of people forget about this. So when the real big sentiment shifts comes in, it's normally the monthly overlaps where price go towards. Now, let me explain this in further detail. So if we zoom into the previous cycle, what you will find is a monthly candle close always has an overlap. And those overlaps, 23.6, 38.2. So although we look at this, and it feels like this is one giant smooth ride to the upside, the overlaps is where a lot of newbie traders and newbie hodlers trip over themselves. Right through all the bull cycle here, the most commonly found overlap is around the 38.2 and the 618. And that's significant because when you expect an overlap of that momentous proportion, that's 38% of the previous month's gain gone. So if you look at what Bitcoin just did this month, and I'm saying to you, expect a possible overlap of 38%, it means that we can go back to 55K and even 52K quite quickly due to the significance. And if we then forget about this 3 months, 4 months from now, all that this would be probably is just a thin little innocent blue line on the screen sitting there looking something like this. That's it. And what's bearish about that? A thin little blue line like that. What's bearish about that? But going through that motion might literally shake you and prevent you from buying the right dip. Price is about to break through and make an all-time high, and we're still so far away from the halving. And the interesting thing for me with this specific chart is that we need to remember one thing. The market likes to rhyme but never repeats itself. And the analysis that's done on this chart, and I'm going to briefly do this analysis for you guys for the sake of all the new viewers. And if you're a new viewer, let me know in the comments. Give me a message and I'll throw a shout out your way. So basically what we know from time is when Bitcoin started, right at the beginning, it has its first halving engineered in the way that the code works, second halving and third halving. And we're about to hit the fourth halving somewhere over there, which means that the amount of Bitcoin that gets released as a minor reward per block halves. So halving one creates a supply shock. So if there's demand in the market leading up to the halving, and all of a sudden the amount of supply that gets released per block gets halved, it's automatically set something ready in for a parabolic run, because there is demand, there isn't supply, scarcity, something gets more expensive. Now, if we have a look at this scenario and the way that plays out, and we see that between halving 1 and 2, 4 years later, same amount of blocks later, we had the same scenario. Halving event, price was leading up to the halving event, scarcity came, the blocks got halved, the amount of BTC release got halved again. What happens? There's another run. So now that this has happened twice, we can start saying to ourselves, is this a trend? And the way that I'm going to look at this is saying to myself, well, I'm going to use the time-based fib zone. So what I'm doing is I'm clicking on the start to the halving, and I'm saying to myself, what is significant there? So I'm looking for significance. Now, remember, the golden ratio numbers are of great importance for any trader using Fibonacci to try and predict where price will be. And I'm using the word predict because that's truly what it is. It's a prediction. It's not a guarantee. Now, the data for this specific chart isn't quite there. So if I move this over to the first halving, the second cycle, and I line it up, you can see that roughly at around the 38.2 price is topping up, and roughly around the 618 level, price is bottoming up. If I do that same thing over at the third cycle, top, bottom, and if I do the same thing over at the last cycle, top, bottom, it gives us a real good indication of what to expect. So a betting man looking at this chart will say this. If I move this over and say, well, somewhere along that time is going to be the fifth halving, it means that we can expect bull cycle to at least go on to at least that level and expect bear market to at least go on into that level. If this monthly has an overlap, what will support the fact that that overlap will happen? Well, if you head over to the weekly time frame, the weekly is giving us what? There's a higher high in price. There's no signs of a divergence of any sorts. But if this weekly candle, I'm going to take it from there to there, this move, falls below the 23.6, there's a really good chance. Remember that that RSI point there has not been locked in. Until this candle closes, that's not a higher high. If price sells back, there's 2 more days for this weekly candle close to happen. Two, maybe 3, depends if you're counting Friday as well. And that means that this thing can still go lower. And if that is the case, that we get a weekly strong bearish divergence, what will happen? It will invite more sellers to the market and then can drive price into these buy zones. And get your Bybit account today. Open account using the partner link in the video description. And what that will do is it will unlock. You can go to the Discord. Discord is in the video link as well. You can get the Bybit deal, and that will unlock the trading side of the Discord. We trade together, we chat, we have got questions, we can dedicate the channels for that. And we even have a 24-hour bot running of our own that looks for trade setups, shares them with you guys. Okay, this is new bull cycle time. Scammers are everywhere. It's easy to just copy my Discord profile and send you a private DM, my Twitter, everything like that. Guys, there's no secret magic source, something that I'm not sharing with anybody that I need to send to you in the private DM. Just be mindful that these guys it's their business, it's their day-to-day job to make it look as authentic as possible. There isn't. If it's not in the formal channels, it's not true. Okay. Now let's get to our alts.
I'll keep hustling.
Subscribe now.